What's up, everybody? It's Akuma Knight from Order of Dragons, and this is our first video on this channel. Woo! Today I'm going to be bringing you a recap / review of the big three in Shonen's new chapters. That's right, after a long wait, they're finally back. We now have Naruto 616, we have Bleach 523, and One Piece 695. So, let's get started. First, we have Naruto 616, and I went into this chapter with moderate hopes, let's just say. So, we started up, and the first thing we see is, holy shit, it's Sasuke! And Orochimaru! And the whole group of people whose names I don't remember because they're not very important characters anymore. But, damn, it's them! You know, they're back in the block. Kishimoto didn't forget about them. That's awesome, right? And then what? It's like... And then, of course, you have to go back to, you know, the regular plot after that little, you know, that little tease of information there, you know. They went off to go see the dragons. I want to go see the dragons. I don't even know what they're referring to, but they wanted to go train and become dragons, so come on, I want to see more of that. But no, of course, we had to go back to the plot. So then we go back to Naruto holding hands with Hinata, and it's like, oh my god, Naruto's with Hinata, finally, he's not going to be a friend zoner. But of course, you know, that was 3 weeks ago with my fangirl squealing, so no more of that. Instead, we got Naruto. It looked like he was like giving all his powers to all the QB powers to all the different members, and I have to be honest, I thought that was pretty cool, but it really wasn't much of a payoff yet. We didn't really see much come of it. What else did we have in this chapter? We have Shikamaru and Ino having sort of like these flashbacks, talking with their parents, and I have to admit, it was a pretty heartwarming scene, all things considered, but. You know, especially with the recent deaths that took place a couple chapters ago. But, you know, the thing about it is that I just was not really into the whole idea of putting so much time and energy into those flashbacks because it's just like, I don't know, they're just not too important of characters. And it's like, Kishimoto hasn't really given me enough of a reason to care so much about those characters. But, you know, that's pretty much the trademark. Naruto is a series with so many friggin' characters, and for a series that stays primarily in one location, well, they travel a little bit, but not too much. I mean, this series has more friggin' characters than One Piece, and and at least in One Piece, you know, it's excusable because they're traveling the entire friggin' world. So, you know, there should be a lot of friggin' characters. You know, there's a whole new cast everywhere they go. But here, it's just like, there's just so many characters. And Kishimoto, I gotta give him credit where it's due. He really tries to just develop all of them and give them all backstories and give them all meaning and stuff, but it just doesn't work when you have that many characters, and because of that, it's really hard to actually feel anything for the parents of 3 already somewhat minor characters, so I thought that was kind of weak. And then, you know, after all is said and done, it's Obito is just being a douchebag as he usually is. Madara, I don't even think Madara even did anything this chapter all that much. He just kind of stood there, had a couple lines, but really nothing all that significant. I wanted to see more Sasuke. I was like, yeah, come into the plot, go do something, you know? I mean, we all know there's another arc coming up with him, you know, or something, or maybe not, but might not. Hopefully it's actually not an entire arc. That would be kind of crazy, but hopefully there's a little something coming up, so, you know, all fine and good. So, final verdict on this chapter. How did it end? It ended so flat, like there was no real cliffhanger. It was just like, okay guys, we're ready, let's go do this. We had our little flashbacks, and now we're all powered up and we're ready to go, and Shikamaru and the whole Ino Shikacho, they have their own little plan thing now, they're, you know, breaking forward, but, you know, nothing's really happening. The Ten Tails is just sort of like, look at me, I'm the Ten Tails, I look like a deformed alien. He's just doing his thing, and, you know, I don't know, I have to be honest, I was really disappointed. After waiting 3 weeks, 3 weeks for a new chapter, I have to be honest, I was not really all that impressed by this, you know? It just, I don't know. So enough of that shit. Moving on. Next up, we're talking about Bleach. Now, Bleach, on the other hand, I have to say, I really love that chapter. Kind of the opposite. I was going into Naruto thinking that more stuff was going to happen, and then I was really disappointed. I went into Bleach thinking that probably not much is really gonna happen here, and I was just like, damn, that's so cool. They finally gave a really cool explanation for the origin of the Zanpakuto. They all sort of start out from the same place. This one guy creating the I forgot the name right now. I think it's like the Asaochi or something like that. I might be wrong about that. I don't remember exactly. But the point is that he creates them all basically the same, and then from there, you know, once the Shinigami gets it shortly after graduating, they sort of transfer their soul into it, so to speak, and that's how they actually become, you know, like unique characters. The Zanpakuto I'm referring to. You know, it makes so much sense, and it kind of works. Because it's like, you get the Zanpakuto. In Ichigo's case, it just sort of like formed out of thin air. But what about the rest of them? They never really explain where the Zanpakuto comes from for, you know, for the average, the conventional Shinigami. So it was really awesome seeing that, you know, you get one, and it's pretty much just like a standard Zanpakuto that can go to anyone. But then through the process of using it, you transfer your own soul into it, and then from there it actually transforms into whatever, you know. And it makes sense because, like I said, well, not like I said, but like you've seen, it sort of goes along with the same, like the setup, like how each Zanpakuto kind of relates to the personality of the Shinigami. This even kind of relates to that filler arc where they had the Zanpakuto just sort of rebelling against everybody, but I digress. Now, even more important about this chapter, because that alone doesn't make it an awesome chapter. What really makes it an awesome chapter is seeing all that info about Unohana. That was so cool. Granted, that was just Kubo going, okay guys, I have this Unohana. She's not really, you know, a tough gal, you know, she's the healer, she's like the white mage of the group. Let's just try to change that. Hang on, let me just, I got a couple ideas back. Battle warrior, yeah. Cutthroat demon, okay, we got it. And you know what? He did pull it out of his ass, as I just sort of comically illustrated. But you know what? It actually kind of works. I thought it was so cool, because by now, of course, we're already expecting something like that, because they already made this big revelation about Unohana. But nevertheless, I thought it was pretty awesome, just the way they show it, and like, you know, and it makes me excited. I really want to see in next week's chapter or the following chapters, I really want to see them do more with that stuff. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Can't wait to see the two of them just duke it out, Zadaki and Unohana. I really want to see them kick the crap out of each other. I don't know why, I just do. Like, I'm ready to brawl. Let's go do this. So anyway, yeah, Bleach left me completely satisfied this week, and it doesn't always. The last chapter we had a few weeks ago, I was not crazy about that one. I thought that was really lame. I forgot the guy's name now. Okay, I'm really bad with the Japanese names. I'm sorry. But to be fair, this is a new character, so, you know, it's kind of excusable in this sense, I would imagine, right? And last but not least, we have my personal favorite of the big three, One Piece! Unfortunately, it wasn't the best chapter this week, but it wasn't a bad one. Don't get me wrong, it was not a bad one by any means. Okay, so, how do we get things started off? Well, when we last left off, we were, you know, Frankie was sort of on his own, fighting against Baby 5 and Buffalo. Weird names, but you know, it's pretty typical at this point. There's not even any kind of shock value anymore when you see a weird name like that. And so, what have we got going on now? They're going after Caesar, and in the meantime, like, Frankie's just like, dude, General fucking Robot here, General Frankie. You bitches ain't got nothing on me. I'm gonna take your shit down. Just try to make a dent in this. Just try to make a dent in this. I dare you. I triple dog dare you, motherfucker. Try to make a dent in my general armor. I'm gonna put your ass down. I'm not quoting Frankie verbatim, mind you, but nevertheless, I thought it was, you know, pretty cool the way he was telling him off. But more importantly, we have Usopp and we have Nami kicking their asses. When the hell did the two of them take down, like, you know, someone who's normally considered to be a reasonable threat? These are two people that were actually fighting against Frankie, and the two of them are just like, BAM! Awesome shit today. Don Flamingo, you know, he's coming. I'm sure he's gonna show up eventually. I'm sure Luffy's gonna fight against him, and I'm sure it's gonna be a matter of, oh, I have a devil fruit power, and Luffy's like, bitch, I got hockey, and it's like, you know, the only thing is, I am a little worried that that whole gimmick is gonna start becoming old. We have the enemy with the devil fruit power, and we have Luffy who can counter it with hockey, but then the enemy's gonna start using hockey, and it's just gonna be a matter of who's got the stronger hockey, and I have faith that Oda is gonna pull that off. So, you know, he's gonna make it work. He's gonna make it work. He's gonna find a way to make it creative. So I'm not too worried about that. The only thing that I really wasn't crazy about this chapter is that really it was cool with Usopp and Nami, but really nothing substantial happened in all honesty. So that's the one thing that kind of left me disappointed this week. But nevertheless, I'm glad that, you know, Shonen Jump's back. Woo! And okay, so that wraps up things for now. So what's my final verdict on the three? Well, first things first, Naruto, on a scale of 0 to 3, 0 being this was a fucking waste of a chapter and that was so stupid, why did they even print that? 3 being, holy shit, that was just so fucking awesome. I gave it a 1 out of 3. It was not too bad. I don't, you know, it progressed the story a little bit. I just don't think that there was anything all that special really going on in this particular chapter. Bleach gets 3 out of 3. This week was fucking awesome. Awesome chapter. I gotta say, amazing. Bleach was great this week. One Piece gets a 2 out of 3. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. No, it was pretty good. We had some awesome stuff going on, but I really wish that something a little more substantial went on. You know, we had that shadow guy coming in, and it's like, you know, I want to know who that guy is. So it was a good cliffhanger, most definitely, but you know, if it wasn't for the fact that they were emphasizing the fact that it was a shadowy figure, I would have just assumed that it was Don Flamingo, because, you know, he's coming in anyway, so I would have been like, oh, okay, Don Flamingo. But no, they're making a big deal out of it, so it would actually be kind of a tease if it turned out not to be Don Flamingo, so who knows? I guess we'll find out next week, and that's about it. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. I'm Akuma Knight from Order of Dragons. This is a brand new collab channel that, you know, we just started. You know, a couple friends of mine got together, and we were just talking about sort of making a podcast channel, so I know this isn't really a podcast, but we're gonna start doing podcasts, and it's gonna cover like whole ranges of nerd culture. I've pretty much got the anime and manga section, at least the shonen, and you know, we'll work out the details as for, you know, what exactly each one of us is doing. But you know, I got a couple friends in on this too, and we're gonna be talking about music, we're gonna be talking about comic books, we're gonna be talking about video games, we're gonna be doing all kinds of different shit. I have to be honest though, it's gonna be more so me than the others. I'm the one who's for the most part, managing this channel, so just giving you guys a heads up. And, you know, stick around. At the end of the week, since all the anime episodes for these shows come out on different days, I think I'm just going to save all of that for Saturday. So, on Saturday, I'm going to review Naruto Shippuden. I would review Bleach, but it ended back in March. Why? Cut down in your prime! But no, it's all good. And I'm, of course, you know, once the new episode of One Piece airs, you know I'm going to be all over that shit. And also, on Friday, I'm going to be reviewing both the new chapter and the new episode of Fairy Tail, so stick around for that. And hopefully one of these days, Hunter x Hunter comes off hiatus, so I could actually start talking about that. Of course, I will start talking about the anime, though, so at least that's something, even if, you know, they're nowhere near where the plot is in the manga, but, you know, what are you going to do, right? Okay, so, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. Yep, right up there. Okay, so thank you very much. Help support this new channel, and I will see you guys in the next review.